Hello, guys and girls. How you doing? You know what the most important thing in a comic book is? Do you think it's the pictures or do you think it's the lettering? Maybe it's the inking, maybe it's the pencils. I don't know. But we're going to go over lettering today because I think it's really important that people really understand how involved it was and how they used to do it. Glenn knows a little bit more about it than I do because I'm more along the lines of the computer age and that. But Glenn's kind of old school and he knows the ins and outs of the lettering gig. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that today. Hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Hello again. I'm Ted Davies.
And I'm Glenn Fleming.
How's it going, man?
I'm all right. Doing
Good. You've been reading
really
some
well.
comics, or you've been making comics?
I've been drawing Hatch today.
Good.
You know, I penciled. Excuse me. I penciled the page today. It's only a one-page spread.
Yeah.
A one-panel spread, I should say. But I penciled it in 30 minutes.
That's excellent. Good.
Penciled it in 30 minutes, and I've nearly finished inking it as well. So I've done a whole page. I've done other stuff as well, but I've done a whole page today on that.
That's awesome. I've been working on, actually finishing up all my color work on Grimm. Grimm 101 book 2. I'm getting all that squared away. I've got everything set up for the printers. I just have to make sure I've, tightened it all up and that. So I've been working on that. Hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll have it back here by the 28th. I'm hoping, everything's slowing down because of the paper crisis. So we're trying to get that. And we're at their mercy. So, but we'll keep everybody abreast of what's going on.
If just before we start, if they're having trouble with the paper, how are they ever going to fix that? Because there's only so many trees.
Well, I think that they can make fibrous paper from old paper,
like they do the dollar bills and all that kind of stuff.
Correct, synthetic, some type of thing. But yeah, good point. Okay. Another good point is we're part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Let's get that on there. There you go. We're a group of creatives to help creatives build their business. So check out everything we're doing 7 days a week on Facebook under Rising Tide Broadcast Network. This one, of course, is recorded this week. You've got stuff going on. I know I got a few things happening Thursday. So, but maybe we'll be in the chat. It just depends. But please, by all means, comment, like, and share this out. That would be awesome. We also are proud sponsors of Cashman's Comics out in Bay City, Michigan. Check out everything doing at Cashman's. He will ship nationwide. Won't ship to the UK, I don't think. But you can always ask him. Check out everything that John Cashman's doing, whether you're a novice collector or more collectors like us, seasoned ones, right? And if you're lucky enough to stop in Bay City, say hi, Petey, the guard dog. He is awesome. So check out everything doing. And should be good. Should be fun.
I bet Petey's got more fans than the shop.
He does, man. No doubt. He's
just
the
going
best.
to see the dog.
When you come to the States, we'll take you there. It is awesome. It's a great thing. Awesome. Check out everything we're doing on Comics Unlimited under Glenn B. Fleming on Amazon. You can check out the publication here. We're going to have a new publication coming up in April here, we think, if everything goes right.
That's what
we don't have a paper shortage still. We'll be checking it out. But that should be a lot of fun. But today we're going to be talking about lettering. Do you think it's the most important thing on the comic?
No, I think the whole thing is the most important thing. I think, one without the other would be a blank page, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
so It's just as important, but it's very important. But as we've covered before, comics are basically illustrations. That's the main part, I would think. Because if there's, I've said it before, if there was no drawings in a comic book, it would be a book.
Correct.
So,
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
nothing wrong with that
medium.
At all. But if you pick up a comic book off the rack, you want a comic book, not a book. But I think that lettering is very, very important. And as well as anybody, I'm always banging the drum about hand lettering directly on the board, because I believe it creates a big part of the artwork.
Yeah, because it's part of the artwork in my eyes. Yeah. It's a direction just as much as a line is. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are so many comic book creators out there. Like there's a guy in Italy called Serpieri that I've mentioned before, and I've seen some of his original artwork, and it's beautifully drawn. It's basically pornographic, but the work is beautiful. But he draws ovals on his artwork. So on the bare, forget the pun, on the bare artwork, you have empty ovals with balloon things going to the mouth or whatever they're speaking. Yeah. This is out of order, isn't it?
Right. Throw that. Right. Make sure 18 or over.
Yeah. But basically, when you get a piece of his artwork that I've seen, there's no words in it. It's just a blank bubble, you know, and it's pointless. Because I would rather have the artwork without any kind of bubble on it, unless you were doing it on the page.
I see.
Do you understand what directly on the page? Because I've got some here. This is a series that came out in the 60s called it's called The Rise and Fall of the Trigon Empire in the comic. And this was in a comic called Ranger in 1965. Now this artwork, I would urge people to check this out. It's by Don Lawrence. I mean, look at that. Look at that.
Wow. That's like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Heavy metal work.
That's amazing. Right. Yeah. And he paints it all the way through. But if you look at the lettering, it's typeset and stuck on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's and not only that, it's also upper and lower case, which doesn't fit a comic for me.
Yeah.
But I've seen not this particular piece of artwork, but I've seen artwork of Don Lawrence's where the balloon is the glue has not worked and it's fallen off.
Oh.
And it's ruined the artwork because it's just fantastic artwork. You've got.
It's beautiful,
all those captions there are all stuck on, literally stuck on the artwork. And on some of the artwork I've seen, the originals, you've got some of the artwork on it, but a lot of it, the bubble, speech bubble has fallen off, and you've got this horrible yellowy sticky bit,
goo.
But if you bring up some of the stuff I sent you this afternoon, anyone will do.
I'm sorry. Let me get you out of here so that people can kind of see your face.
That's Kirby Eternals.
Yeah.
Now you can see.
God, there's a ton of freaking writing on there. Holy
but
crap.
that is Jack. Writing on the board. That's not how it appeared when Royer lettered it, because Mike Royer, we'll get to him, is one of the, in my opinion, one of the top 5 best ever comic book letterers. Now, but that's Jack's writing.
Okay.
And Mike Royer would just simply, literally letter over it. Okay. I think you've got some prisoner stuff there where you can see Mike Royer underneath it. Well, Kirby underneath Mike Royer's. I'm not sure whether I've sent that you that one. That's Steve Ditko. That's for placement.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, that's for placement. That's one of mine. Get rid of that.
This is one of yours too. We'll come back to that too.
Get rid of that. Next one.
Okay.
Well, that one.
This one is.
That one's Steve Ditko again. I don't think he's inked it, but I'm not sure. But I think that lettering's been stuck on top.
It sure looks like it,
because it wouldn't be yellow, would it? Because it's like a PMT, isn't it? There's a photo mechanical transfer thing. You know all about that.
Yep.
And so I don't know who's lettered that, but they've stuck it on. And to me,
it looks.
It's just awful.
This is the only one I've got on the other one. I didn't have anything else you sent me.
Right. Okay. Well, Mike Royer, Kirby would send Mike Royer these pages, as you can see there, and he would literally write the story and what Mike was to letter on the board, and then Mike would just simply draw the lines over with one of these wonderful Ames guides that I've got ready. And
you got one? I didn't get mine out there. Let me see it. Oh yeah, that's classic. I remember those. God.
Now this particular one I have is 40 years old.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant, and this turns. You get your lettering line, and you get your descender line for the spacing, and it's perfect. You run it along your T-square, and it's perfect every time. It's wonderful. You can see on that page I sent to you of mine.
Yes, which one?
That one. You can on the left. You can see the pencil work there, and you can see the lines where If you look on the bottom panel on the first panel, but you can see the lines underneath the lettering where I've not used that lettering, and then then that's obviously the ink.
That looks amazing. That looks so good. That looks so good.
Well, this is why. I mean, I don't think my that's another one. I don't think my lettering is that good, really, to tell you the truth.
No,
but,
it's great. You can definitely tell it's yours. I don't mean that in a bad way. That's a good thing. Buzz Ross looks a lot like some of the other stuff that you've done. I've seen. So go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Just different thing. Using one of these, to do with the lettering, I think is becoming a lost art. To excuse the pun again, because lettering is such a fantastic. It's the same as artwork and painting. Lettering is amazing. Calligraphy is and it's just amazing. And I think that you get people in the Marvel thing in the 60s that when I first started reading them, mainly lettered by Artie Simek and Sam Rosen, and those guys were knocking that stuff out, and it's just beautiful artwork. And they would do their own titles and all that kind of thing. And it's such a wonderful thing. And believe it or not, I had a piece of Kirby artwork a while back, but I sold it. But it was lettered by Artie Simek, and the lettering to me was always, I don't know, I'm not a lettering artist at all, but I just think it's wonderful. That was the first thing I would look at, the lettering.
Yeah.
And this is a Kirby Captain America inked by Joe Sinnott, which is beautiful.
Which we talked about last week. I mean,
it's
Joe
just incredible.
Awesome. Yep.
And like I said, the way not to go is ruining fantastic artwork like that.
Yeah, and then slapping on
silly typeset.
It's as much composition as the artwork.
Yeah. Well, if you look at that Steve Ditko page you showed with the helicopter.
Hold on 1 second. Let me find it here.
And one of the most important aspect. This is it. I think this is from Spidey 36 or something like that. I'm not sure. That long ago, about 1965. Now look at that. Apart from the beautiful line work of Steve Ditko, you're an artist. You could ink that, couldn't you?
Oh yeah.
It's all there, but that's a different story. But look at the placement of the bubbles as well. Now you'll notice, and Kirby does this, all the old guys do this, the old masters do this. They are conscious of the composition of the panel, and they leave space for the lettering. Look at all those panels. There's never none of the bubbles go over the artwork.
There's no map. Yep. Looks great.
And this is an aside. This is more proof who was writing this, because look where the bubbles are to go with what's going on. But anyway, then the letterer would have a clear run. He wouldn't have to be worried about going over any artwork or spoiling anything.
Right.
The writer or the dialoguer doesn't have to worry about similar things. He has to have word economy to fit the space. But if he's writing the story, he should already know that. And I would imagine that theme at the bottom is a Ditko theme, but I'm not sure about that. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it is.
As just a guide to the letterer. But anyway, you can see, this is what we were saying earlier on, which is the most important part. All of it's important because you've got the great artwork, you've got the great words when they're there, but you've got the composition, the awareness of where that words are going to go. And the guys come in like Simek and Rosen, they come in and they rarely go over their allocated bubble parts there. And and contrary to that, the Kirby stuff with the Royer lettering is something else, because when you see Jack's pages and he's handwritten it in pencil on the page, and Mike Royer has to draw his lines over that and then write over that. It shows you how good he was.
Sure.
Maybe he was working from photostats as well. I don't know.
He might have.
It's just a wonderful thing. And I hope people don't get the wrong way with me. I'm not against computers or anything. I'm talking to you. I'm on a computer. I use a computer. I've been using computers for 30 years, and I've done a lot of my work on computers. I don't decry them at all. But I'm talking about the essence of this art, this beautiful art that we have for comics. And I believe, put it this way, if I was head of Marvel Comics, or I had my own publishing comic company, the lettering would have to be on the board. It would just be a part of the contract, because it's part of it. And if you look at any hand lettering, the letters aren't the same, But when you do it on a computer, they're all exactly the same.
Yeah,
And
it's
to me,
consistent throughout. Yeah.
it just jumps out too much. It's too perfect, and that's part of the charm. Because if you look at Sam Rosen lettering Fantastic Four bubble, the A's will be similar. They won't be the same. So it makes it organic. That's the word. It makes it, it's part of it. But if it were done on a computer, they would be perfect. And I don't like that, because I've said to you before, sometimes when you do a piece of artwork, the best part is the mistake.
I agree. Unless it's misspelled. That's one of the
Oh,
things about this book.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say misspelling is a different thing. That's an editorial thing. That's, if you misspell it, that's wrong. They've got to be changed. Show us that book.
This one here is let me bring up full screen for a second. This one here is it's from 1953. It was a book that my dad had, and it even tells you how to hold the pen. It's insane. And there's all these fonts in here from way back. I mean, Art Deco style and then modern style, and it goes through these. Basically, you would use these underneath your vellum or whatever. Whoops, let me do it this way. Maybe
look at that.
I mean, these guys were intense. The labor it takes to make a sign. I mean, even the spacing, it goes through spacing and tells you exactly how to
kerning and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they did. And they would break down, spreadsheet advertisements, just to give you an idea, of layout. Just incredible.
I just wonder. You can see where Letraset got their templates from.
Absolutely. And then some of them, I mean, they're just, it's amazing. The size, the fonts, everything. It's just insane. But I'm glad that Dad left. I think I pinched this from him a long time ago. But yeah, it was awesome. It's in my library. I love it.
Just while we're talking about that book and Letraset, I saw some of the originals that Letraset use. And if you imagine a capital A, and it was like AO size.
Yeah, right.
Because it has to be perfect when they reduce it, and it's got to be perfect. But I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't realize is that when you submit a font to one of these places, like this is in the past because I've done it myself, you have to have all the characters like question marks and exclamation marks and ampersands and all this kind of the numbers. You've got to do brackets and or parentheses, whatever you want to call it. You've got to have the whole thing, and you'd be surprised that when you've done a really, really nice A to Z alphabet, how awkward and intimidating a simple dash will be to fit the lettering.
Yes.
And that, again, that's why these guys are so good, especially these Simek and Rosen I keep mentioning, John Constanza, Mike Royer, all these fantastic letterers.
Yeah.
They have their own kind of font, and they do get into a rhythm. But they still have all their question marks down pat. They don't just, you can tell that it's part of it before they start. They don't just throw, I've got to do a question mark, throw it in because it works.
One of the things in architecture they taught us was the way that you write, the way that you angle the pen, the way that you act, or the pencil. This book actually tells you the stroke lines of how to make it downward, sideways. It's incredible. I mean, the detail. And this is like a mainstay. This is, I don't know how you could get away with it, not doing it this way. I mean, look at this. Could you imagine doing this?
Oh, look at that.
God, I can't. I mean, calligraphy is a whole nother level.
That page you showed there looks like the kind of things they used to, the monks used to do with the Bibles.
Yeah, when the scribes. Yeah, absolutely.
Taking 50,000 years to write one book,
Incredible.
Works of art. Perfect stuff. It's
I remember you did as well. We were taught cursive writing. And we had to the books. You remember the books with the lines with the dotted? It looked like two row, or looked like a road on a plan. So, and we would go through that. They're moving away from all that now, cursive writing. So, at least here in the States. So,
I think that's a cultural thing. I think we're moving away from a lot of things, even speaking in the right way. But that's another story.
Well, and I think that I haven't used smaller lowercase letters in 40 years. 40 years. Everything's always been uppercase. My writing, everything's uppercase in architecture. I very rarely use a lowercase letter. And it's pretty amazing stuff.
When I first started drawing my own comics in the late 60s, my older brother Martin brought home a repeatograph.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's the stiffest thing in the world.
Sure.
But I used to use it for inking drawings, and it used to drive him crazy because I used to get it when he wasn't looking, you know. But then I started lettering with it, and it was absolutely fantastic.
I don't know if you can see this.
Look at that, yeah.
Old nib.
Look at that, beautiful.
That thing's it's like a magic wand.
Yeah,
go ahead, I'm listening.
It is a magic wand. But I used to when he'd go out, I'd go upstairs to the bedroom and get his repeatograph and start inking my comics. And then, but you see, when you're young or when you're stupid like I was, I'd show him later that.
Hey, look what I did with your.
No, I didn't say with your pen. He knew I'd done it with the pen, so I'd get a whack over the head with it. You know, because you've used my pen on that. You're not supposed to.
Right.
But because in fact, speaking of repeatographs, I've got one here that I prepared earlier.
You're talking about quills and stuff. I wanted to show you that one. Oh yeah.
That kind of thing. It's not a repeatograph.
Right. This is that's a refill, right? That's a refill.
This is a Faber Castell, but it's the same kind of thing.
I had a Castell like that too, and I had to, the thing I hated about it was the ink. You had to. It was messy.
No, it's not messy.
It was messy.
Just
whatever.
Be careful.
Right. Well,
I've had this for 40 years as well. 1983, I bought this.
Lord.
And it just never goes away. This is going to be around longer than I am. It's just
probably.
Fantastic work.
Right. Good
but
stuff.
The lettering, like I say, with these old guys, the Sam Rosand and Artie Simek people, it's something to strive for. Yeah, it's something to strive for.
Yeah. And they did so many though that their muscle memory was incredible. I'm sure that they didn't think about it, over time.
When I was doing lettering in the 80s, which you showed before, I would have to pencil it in first.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To get the spacing right and all that kind of thing. But I bet those guys didn't. I suppose maybe I wouldn't have needed to if I'd have carried on doing a lot of lettering, and they were doing 10, 15 pages a day, of lettering.
Yeah.
I suppose you would get to be where you could work it all out in the first instance.
I would still pencil it. I'd still pencil it.
So would I.
I still pencil it now. There's no.
I do.
My dad did too when he did sign work. Same thing. They'd always have to pencil it out first. And the way he taught me too was it was just a guide. It wasn't really, it was just a suggestion. You know what I mean? The way he scribbled it out. And then when he took the brush to it, it was like, wow. I mean, it was just amazing.
We were saying on a previous program somewhere that these people had to be fast. Kirby had to be fast to get them done. But if you think about it, if Sam Rosland's getting paid $11 a page, and he's doing 10 pages a day, making a nice $100 a day, $500 a week, he would have only made $250 a week if he'd done it twice, like we would, if he'd have penciled it first.
Correct.
So they've got to get it in there.
Yeah,
but I've done that one. This is directly on the board of mine.
I know, man. And that looks so. I'm telling you, dude. I'm not really joking. At your age, drawing that way is impeccable. That's amazing.
That's my typeface.
I know guys that are your age that are a little bit younger than you that they can't draw because of the control of their brush and everything.
Well, but it's just
you're awesome. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You're a force to be reckoned with, my friend. Don't let Helen know I said that. But I think that's here's one thing. Let me ask you this. This is the publication that we're putting out in that, but it's all digital.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel on this? Duplicating it's one thing, but how do you, production wise, you said a minute ago that you would, if you had your own publishing house, which you kind of do in a way, but
not for comics,
realistically, realistically, is this, I don't think that this is a bad representation of talent. If it has this, I don't think that this is bad. This is still creative to me. It's just a different tool that you're using.
Now, if I was publishing, if I had to draw that Comics Unlimited logo, I could do it.
Yeah.
But it's two typefaces that I like and I put together, and that was simply because I don't consider myself a lettering artist. Helen tells me I can letter. You can tell me. Lots of people tell me I can letter.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's very good. But and I'm not being modest there. I really believe that. It's just, or I am being modest. It's just, you know, I don't rate it. I really don't
You're
rate
being
it.
humble. That's good. Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
but I mean it. And so if I could get somebody who could recreate that and handball it, in fact,
Yeah.
I could. Maybe I should have a go at it. I don't know.
Maybe we should do an all hand printed version. Wouldn't that be something just as a special?
I went out with a girl many years ago, and she told her dad that I was an artist, and he said, "Do you do this?" And he held up this magazine. I said, "Yeah, I do things like that." And he said, "This is incredible." I said, "I've not done that one." And he said, "No, but it's incredible. You do this kind of thing." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "The way you've hand lettered all the letters in the magazine is amazing." He thought, typesetting columns in the magazine. He thought I'd handballed it.
Well, in his eyes, he probably did. I mean,
Well,
his generation,
how
Did you run
stupid
with
can you
it?
be?
Did you lie to him and run with it? Just go with it?
I said I didn't
I'm
do
awesome,
that.
or
I
what? No?
said no, I said I didn't do that one, Bill.
No? Okay, fair enough.
He wouldn't have believed me anyway because he didn't like me, so he didn't believe anything I said
All
anyway.
right.
If
All
I
right.
told him
Well,
the
he gave
sky
you a
was blue,
compliment. Yeah.
no, he didn't give me a compliment. He was ridiculing. He was saying what a waste of a time of a job it was.
Oh,
But
at
anyway,
least he said it was a job. That's good. Not to get a real one. Yeah,
that's
those are
true.
always, I love those comments. Those are great.
You know, above my head there on the artwork in the background, that letter in there, as you can see,
Where?
as you can see the screen.
Yeah.
Your background with the surfer that you put on in the background of where
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
Well, that lettering is by John Constanza.
Yes.
And I can tell that. But look at the A in the what and the make and see the difference.
Yeah.
You can see, but it's the same. It's the
same living being that made it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Because if you made I know some artists have had, like Frank Bellamy, have had their lettering into a font for a computer, but you'd need 55 A's, wouldn't you? So they're all different.
And the one that we're doing, I've only do capital letters anyway, so it's pretty easy in that regard.
But what I mean is that how many A's are in there? 1, 2. There's 3 A's in there.
Yeah.
4 A's in that, and they're all different. So if you were going to do that you'd have to have 4 different A's to make it look like.
But it works. It works though.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's just absolutely fantastic. And
It's
you can see on there,
touch.
you can see on there where they've used the blue pencil for the placement of the bubble as well. You can see that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's Mr. Lee, I think. That's from the.
Did any of the letters cross over from DC to Marvel, or were they all consistently in house? Were they all proprietary?
I think they were. I think Marvel letters were Marvel and DC were DC. I think. I'm not sure because I know Frank Giacoia used to ink for both, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was Frankie Ray, Frank Giacoia, and he had another name that he did DC work with. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did, but I don't know. But DC have great letters anyway. It's just wonderful.
When did they start switching over to typeset?
I would imagine
90s.
Yeah. Well, computers when everybody got a computer.
Once Photoshop came up and started running.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Because I know that in school we were just playing. I mean, we just got Windows. When I was in school, we had Apples throughout my grade school, but they weren't. It was like logo and little tiny production. It wasn't anything word processing, but no typesetting.
I was running scared for about 2 weeks when I got my first Apple computer because I couldn't work it out. And it took me a while to work out that the screen was my drawing board, and all the rulers and set squares were just tools on the screen.
Yeah,
and
that's bizarre.
I had trouble working it out because I would use a pencil and a ruler and a set square and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But it is quicker in a lot of ways. But it is because I used to, I'm old enough to remember cow gum. Do you remember cow gum?
No.
Cow gum is like a big splodgy goo in a tin, and you used to get this spreader and spread it really thin on the board and stick typesetting on it.
Oh.
And it's really good to work because you can push it and move it.
Yeah.
It's really good because you can get your set square and make the line straight. And then spray mount came along. You must have seen spray mount.
Yeah, spray mount, yeah.
But spray mount's deadly. That'll kill you in a confined space. So we were working in 6 of us in a studio, each with a can of spray mount, killing ourselves.
Yeah,
and then computers came along, and like you said, it gets cleaner. I'm not sure it gets quicker because I think it's still a tool, and it depends who's using it.
Yeah, and it really depends on how fast you get with it.
Yeah. because I'm really proud the fact that I've spanned Calgum spray mount computer, because I can use all those things. If you put me in a studio now and I had to use Calgum, I mean, you don't even know what it is. If I had to use Calgum, I could use it.
Yeah,
just cut
and
the typesetting out. You know.
Yeah, that says a lot about your generation too, because you had advanced so far. I mean, we did too as Gen Xers, but it's different. Baby boomers to Gen Xers. It's the fact that you and I could actually do traditional artwork like we talked about, or do digital artwork.
Yeah,
that's a pretty awesome thing. I would put money on it that generation now, a lot of them don't do traditional art in the same depth that we do. And I'm not saying it's wrong or whatever. It's just the evolution of the medium, or of the genre, I guess. But
see, I don't understand on the computer thing with the penciling. I don't see how it's quicker. I really can't see how it's quicker. If you're going to make the mistake, you still make the mistake.
It's quicker to make a change. I mean, that's the thing. You can duplicate. There's a lot of things you can do that are that I like.
But you know what the answer is, don't you? You know what the answer is? Don't make the mistake.
Yeah, right.
Get it right. Get it done right.
There's no mistakes in art.
Like,
you know that.
Like I don't.
The art knows what it wants. You know, that's one of the first things that I've learned, over the years. The art knows what it wants. So tell me who's your favorite letterer out of all of them?
I would say if I had a story
in Marvel.
Yeah, if I had a story that needed lettering, I think I'd like John Constanza to letter it. But if they threw Artie Simek and Sam Rosen at me, I wouldn't be upset, or Mike Royer. But John Constanza,
really?
Yeah, I think I don't know whether he's still alive. He's probably
that's
about
with
80.
Kirby. That's with Kirby's mixture, the collaboration, or is it just him on
him on anything? But I think he only lettered Jax. I think he only lettered the Surfer.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
that's not a bad one to start with. Yeah,
but if you look at the old FFs, the Kirby FFs, it's difficult to tell whether it's Sam Rosen or Artie Simek. And they used to do 2 or 3 issues run, and then they change, but it's basically the same, And it's just and those 2 guys did everything. And like Kirby drew everything, Stanley dialogued everything. There's only several people working on it, and I think it shows. It's like a team. It's like you get you can have the best 11 players, but they might not work as a team.
Yeah, well, and that's in my dad at Ford. It was like that in the old days. The guys these guys would be there forever. I mean, these guys are there for 30 years together, and they designed cars together. They worked on engine drawings, and all kinds. This is way before computers. And it was, I mean, and they were tight knit. I mean, these guys were, they would go to lunches together, dinners, they'd have family events together. That's just the way we were. It was real camaraderie,
There's a great story. I mean, Wally Wood, he was a good letterer as well.
Yep.
He did some great lettering on the Mad magazine and all that kind of stuff he worked on. But there's a great story about the repeatograph with Wally Wood. In the early 70s, when repeatographs sort of came to the fore and you were getting different size nibs and all that kind of thing, he ran a studio. It's not Witsend, is it? Is that Barry Smith? Anyway, he ran this studio, and he had and this young guy came in. And Wally would be about 50 then or something, maybe 45, and he was this fantastic artist, wasn't he? But he used to letter as well. Anyway, this guy comes in with this repeatograph and showed him. And Wally Wood, the next day, the guy came in, and Wally Wood had the case and he had a cigar in it. He was using it as a cigar. and this guy said that Wally Wood, his straight line using a ruler and a brush was better than a repeatograph.
I believe it.
Yeah.
My dad worked with a guy. My dad worked with a guy very similar in that mindset. His name was Bob Goujon. And Bob had lost one of his eyes to cancer. And he drew, because everything was in 2D, because he couldn't see 3D, right?
Yep.
He could take a piece of paper and rip it in half perfectly. And he could draw a line like, it was amazing. I'm still, he's long since passed, but man, it was just, and his line work was just, I mean, it was insane. I don't know. It's a talent. It's a shame that, about his eye, but it's a real talent that you can get to that level. God, crazy. But
but I think that comic artwork is far superior with the lettering on it. It's just wonderful. And again, like we said, there's no misalignment of the balloons because they're not impeding any artwork really. They do overlap occasionally, but I've seen artwork where half the guy's head is missing because the bubble's been stuck over it because there's no room for it to go anywhere. And that to me is bad composition.
Mm-hmm. And that's for a seasoned company that's producing comics. I mean, that's different. For independents, don't get frustrated because you can, and with digital, you can move things around and all that other stuff. There's a lot of ways you can do lettering. But don't be frustrated if you're starting out and you're trying to do independent comics. We've all made mistakes on things. I've done that, or I've made a picture that you couldn't fit any bubbles in it. It just didn't work. So, I mean, it happens. It's part of the learning curve. But I mean, that's one good thing about computer lettering, that you can maneuver things around. So
I like using the tools. Like I use flexi curves.
Yeah, right. The French curves.
French curves. Yeah. That's not for lettering, but I do artwork with it. I do lines with it, and I've got my.
Do you have a spacer on it? Do you have a nub on the like a cork spacer on it so you can use ink or not, or just pencil?
It's got a groove on it, this thing.
It does have the groove on it? Cool.
Yeah, it does have the groove on it, so I can, But I generally just put it flat.
Yep. I remember those days, man, before I put nubs on there and I'd do an ink line and I'd pull it away and just it'd be just right across the drawing. I'm like, crap, spent hours on some of those architectural prints. I'm like, ugh.
I suppose the computer might be handy in that situation.
In that regard, yeah. But I'll tell you what, the lines though, the bragging rights, when you do a French curve like that and get the line just right, and and it's inked just right and the ink's dry, that's a pretty sweet spot to be in. So I get it. Totally.
I think there's a lot of enjoyment taken out of artwork and other things, but artwork with a computer, there's a lot of enjoyment. There's a lot of learning.
It's very technical.
It's very technical. A lot of pride in it. See, I think that if you imagine only John Constanza can letter like John Constanza. So what they do is, because the three people they employ, they want it like John Constanza, and it is either not here or too expensive. They make a typeface out of John Constanza's lettering. Yeah. Well, anybody can do that. Anybody can work that machine to put those words in. Right. But John has to get his little aims out and draw the lines and put it in, and it's art. It's a work of art. It really is. It's beautiful. It's fabulous work.
And it is analog. It's analog versus digital. Yeah, it really is.
That's right. Yeah, perfect.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just a different way to get that story down. I see some of the amazing work that the digital artists are putting out now, and I've said it before. It's sometimes just too freaking perfect. It's just so perfect that it's not enjoyable for me.
Well, if you look again, the background drawing we have on this screen, look at the surface feet. Look at his foot. Look at the foot that's flat. I mean, it's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, it is completely.
It's wrong,
but it works.
But Kirby drew that. Kirby drew that because all Kirby is doing there is telling you it's a foot. He doesn't have to draw a foot, and you can see it's a foot, so it's inked in quickly. But if you went on a computer, I bet you'd have to think, oh, well, are those his toes at the end there, and what's this, Yeah. But the same with the lettering. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I think that's part of it. Because if you look at something like the Mona Lisa, it's perfect, isn't it? It's brilliant. It's fantastic.
It's smaller than I thought it was going to be.
It's tiny.
It's only that big. Right. It's tiny.
It's very small, And you look at things, Canaletto, the guy, he's like a photographer, isn't he? Canaletto. Have you seen his work? Absolutely mind blowing. You've seen it. Yes. And he does a lot of Venice things, Venice vistas and all this kind of thing. But anyway, we digress from lettering. But lettering is, as you were saying before, at the top of the show, which is the most important part. Well, it's all as important as the other, because it's like you can have beautiful pencil work ruined by bad inking. Good inking can't really rescue bad pencil work.
Correct.
And to me, this is just, and I'm not saying I haven't used it, but I'm going back to the old way of putting it on the board because it fits in better and it's perfect. And to me, it shows up the artwork because the artwork isn't perfect.
I think lettering. I think lettering is, especially in comic books, and I'm speaking from my own the way I learned. Reading in comic books is a lot easier for a lot of people than it is to sit down with a novel.
Yeah.
It's more enjoyable. It's not as intense in a lot of respects. It's not as
to the point,
foreboding, to where people don't want to read it. Oh my God, I'm dyslexic or whatever. You can still get the idea, but lettering offers small digestive tidbits to lead to the story. And that's a really important part of the medium that I enjoy, because I think that really opens the doors. And, my son had some issues growing up with his eyes, trying to read, and the way they developed. And, so many people have dyslexia, and it's just a better way, I think, of learning. It's a different way of learning than just reading a book, getting your information out of a book. Videos and everything else are great too. But I think that the art form in comic books is still, it's a forever medium. I think it'll be around forever.
I think so. Yeah, it's like a book. It's
a modern. It's a modern cave painting. I mean, that it is, except it's on paper versus stone. I mean, I really think that, and lettering is just part of it's as important as the drawing in my eyes. It's part of the drawing, You
see, and again, just to underline it, in my opinion, if you do some beautiful artwork, like your artwork on the walls there, imagine if you just laid over some take your Grim 101 logo. That's fantastic. I love that. But if you would have laid that over on a computer with a beautiful, Futura bold italic, it would have looked like you'd stuck Futura bold italic on top.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I like the hand lettering thing, like with your Archimedes and all that kind of thing. That it's just great. It's just brilliant. I think more people should do it.
Try. Well, I mean, there's whatever, as long as the story gets told, that's fine with me. You guys decide. But I think that lettering, like you're saying, old school lettering, especially, like I said, in the dynamic of my father's age in the 1953, this book here was.
Isn't that the book you said you were going to send me?
No.
Oh.
No, you're mistaken. 1952 by Rose F. George. Illustrations and methods of instruction appearing in this book are copywritten. So, isn't that something? They can copyright every one of the fonts and every one of the text and how to use it. It's crazy, and I love the when you come over, I'll definitely read it.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, isn't it?
But
it's just brilliant.
It's just great.
You better not, because you might find it.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll let you borrow it.
You better check when I'm.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So that's pretty awesome, and I think we just scratched the surface with lettering, because I know DC had quite a few letterers that were pretty decent, and the old school stuff from the prior to the really the old school stuff, like from the 1950s earlier. I love to see how they did it versus as we got rolling.
In the 40s when Kirby was with Joe Simon, they were doing Captain America. Yeah. Jack Kirby said to me himself, he said that the best letterer he'd ever seen was Joe Simon. He said the way he just used to approach the page and just put it in straight in. Excuse me. He said he was the best letterer, because I think that when Jack went in the army, didn't they, and all that. Yeah. And when he came back, I think they carried on to about 1950, I think. And then they split up because Joe Simon wasn't making enough money, I think, and he went into advertising. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think he did a lot of lettering in studios and things like that, in advertising. So as good as an artist he's a very good lettering artist as well.
Yeah, he was a businessman though. Right? I mean, he was the deal maker on a lot of stuff. Yeah, tall guy.
And that's covered on my DVD.
I was just getting ready to ask about that. So I got a really cool message today from somebody over in the UK, and it said a picture of a DVD, and you've got it there. Hold on one second. Let me bring this up. So tell everybody about that.
Well, this is the long-awaited final cut of my DVD and my visit to see Jack Kirby, or the two 2 visits I did. When the second visit is there's an interview with him for lasts about 40 minutes, and he not so much an interview as just Jack talking about his life. Mm-hmm. And I got some of these DVDs today. These will be going out, and that's going on Indiegogo at the end of the month, along with the book, the Kirby book that I showed you last time.
Right.
So you'll be able to hopefully, sign up for that and purchase that as a book and the DVD. The book is about the book is the book of the DVD with other stuff in it as well. There's lots of other stuff in there as well.
Good deal. And so we're gonna have you on TED Talks March 1st, that Tuesday, so that we can talk a little bit further. I know it's launching the day before, but absolutely, can't wait to have you on that.
I want to. If it's not funded in an hour, I'll be devastated.
So even if it's funded in 2 hours, it's going to be well worth it for everybody. I think I'm looking forward to the whole. It's been a long time coming, man. This is like what?
Well,
how long has it been since you've been out there? 30 years?
Oh, 1991.
So this is it.
Well, it did come out in 2017, but not this.
Yeah, not this version.
A more edited version. There's more stuff on this. Mm-hmm. So I did get it out there, as you know, in front of an invited audience of about 40 people at Oldham Theatre, which is we'll take you up when you come here. We'll show you this theatre, and you can it's free. You just book it.
Oh, cool! I'm loving that.
You just book it.
We'll have to use that to our advantage. That's good.
It's absolute. Yeah, maybe we could do a show or something. But it's absolutely fantastic.
Sounds good.
What they did when I did the Kirby premiere of that, I think I wasn't in control of the theatre, but I think they charged something like £3 a ticket, $5 a ticket, and I think that money was a donation to the theatre type of thing.
Yeah,
but you can have it for nothing because it's a public theatre. It's got a giant screen. It's got seating for about 100.
That's great.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, good. Beautiful. I look forward to it. All right. I'll take that. We'll take you up on that. We'll figure it out. Maybe we can make it into a benefit. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great to do something with it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that was good. That was a good show. Everybody touch base on lettering and, let us know who your favorite letterers were, Marvel, DC, whoever, or if you do it digitally, that'd be awesome too. Let us know. What do you think? Is traditional or digital the way to go when it comes to lettering? I know which one's easier, but sometimes, and I don't know what we're doing next week, but maybe I think it'll be live next week though.
Yes. Yeah. It should be a live.
This one is pre-recorded like we talked about, but we do appreciate it. I've got to get writing. Got to get back to the boards, working on some drawings today too. I know you do too. So,
and I've got to go and see my Valentine girl now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're taping this, full disclosure, on Monday. So yeah, I've got to wait for my Valentine to get home. So we will talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.
Thanks
Read some comics. Bye.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.